Welcome to the Turn the Page video on how to set up Outlook with your Turn the Page email account. Today we're going to walk through how to do this using Outlook 2003, but the important part is for you just to understand what the settings are that you need to type into your system. So it doesn't really matter if you're using a newer or an older version of Outlook, or even if you're using it to set up your Entourage on your Mac or your iMail. It doesn't really matter. It's just the settings that are important. So don't get too confused about how to get into the specific areas. Just pay attention mostly to the settings. Now I'm not going to cover how to start adding an account for all the different formats of mail because this video isn't really a tutorial on Outlook. It's really more of just how to get the settings set up properly with your Turn the Page account. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And the first thing that you should know is you're just going to want to go to somewhere where you can add your new account. So in this particular example, we're going to go to Tools, and then we're going to go to Email Accounts. So in Outlook 2003, the next thing it's going to do is it's going to ask you if you want to add a new email account or if you want to change an existing one. Now just keep in mind this isn't like this in all versions. Some of them just go directly to showing you all the accounts that you currently have. But in this particular example, we're going to go ahead and click to add a new email account. Then it's going to bring up the screen and it might ask you what type of settings. So you're going to add this as a POP3 account. I'm not going to get too technical here, but I want to explain real quickly the difference between a POP3 account and an IMAP account. The POP3 account is going to actually download a copy of the message to your computer, and the message will no longer exist on the web server anymore. So that means that if you want to go get it from another computer, you won't actually be able to get it. So the IMAP actually keeps a copy on the server and it keeps a copy on your computer. It's okay, it's up to you which format you want to use here. The settings are slightly different for IMAP, but we usually recommend the POP3. And the reason that we do that isn't so that you can't view your emails from other computers, but because if you don't clean up those emails off the server, eventually you're going to overrun your quota on your email account, and then we're going to be calling you asking you to clean those up, and you have to manually go in, and it's kind of a pain. So I'm going to go with the POP3 setting today, and then I'm going to show you how you can keep a copy on the server for just a little while, so in case you need to view it from somewhere else, but that it'll eventually clean itself off the server after a certain amount of time. So we're going to talk through that today. So let's go ahead and let's select a POP3 setting, and then we'll click Next. Then you're going to want to fill in your information. So your name, just put in whatever you want, want your name to appear in the account. Your email address is just whatever we've given you. So if it's your name at your company. Your incoming mail server is going to always be mail dot and then whatever your URL is. So if your URL is mycompany.com, it's going to be mail.mycompany.com. If your URL is abccompany.com, it's going to be mail.abccompany.com. So it wouldn't be exactly mail.yourcompany.com literally, but it's going to be whatever your URL is going to fit in between the mail dot and the dot, whatever you have, .net.com. That's going to be the incoming mail setting. Your outgoing mail setting is going to be the same exact thing. So if you're TrueBlue company, it's going to be mail.trueblue.com, or if you're trueblue.net, it'd be mail.trueblue.net. So those are the settings that most people are just curious about what they should be, mail dot and then your domain name. In the login information, the other thing that catches people sometimes is they put in their username. They might just put, if your email was johndoe@mycompany.com, sometimes they just put John Doe. That's going to cause a problem for you. You need to make sure that you actually fill in your whole email address in the username. So your login for your email is always your full email address. So if you are John Doe at abccompany.com, your username should be John Doe at abccompany.com. And then go in and put in your password. If you need information on how to change the temporary password that we set for you, go ahead and view the other video that we have on how to use our webmail system. You'll probably want to change the password before you actually set up your Outlook account, just so that you don't have to come in here and mess with this password twice. Okay, then we're going to go on to more settings because there's some more things that we want to set up here. Once we get into more settings, you'll want to go ahead and check that my outgoing server requires authentication. Now I will warn you on some IP services, so depending on who your service provider is at your business or your home, some people, this doesn't work for them, the outgoing server requiring authentication. So you don't have to have that turned on. If you're having a problem, I would toggle it. If it's on and you're having a problem, turn it off. If it's off and you're having a problem, turn it on. Generally, you'll know this is causing a problem if you can receive mail, but you can't send mail. So that's where you're going to want to look if you're having an issue with receiving your emails. Then we're going to click over to the Advanced tab. And the next thing that I usually recommend for everyone is to change the outgoing server port. And by default, usually all of the Outlook programs set that port to port 80. Most IPs are blocking that now, so we're going to set that to port 587. And we're just going to go ahead and change that. So it doesn't have to be port 587, and I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's usually set to 25. We're going to set it to 587. That's what we recommend for all of our clients. Then also, if you'll look below at the very bottom there, it says delivery. You'll see there's a box that says leave a copy of the message on the server. This is going back to what I was talking about earlier about how you can leave a copy on the server for just a certain amount of time. So go ahead and check that box to leave a copy on the messages on the server, and then you have one or two options here. You can either check the first box that says remove from the server after, and then you specify how many days. I usually recommend 30 days. It's usually rare that you're going to have to go back and get something off the server that you don't have on your computer more than 30 days down the road. So that's usually a good option. A second option, not as good, but you can do it, is you can say to remove it from the server once I've deleted it from my deleted items. Now the catch in here is just that it actually doesn't remove from the server until you delete your deleted mail. So a lot of times people think if they just delete the message and it's sitting in their deleted mail, it's going to remove from the server, but that's not the case. You actually have to go in and delete your deleted mail before it will remove it from the server. So like I said, not really a recommended option for me. I think the first one of removing it after a certain number of days is the best option, but that's your choice. So then you're going to go ahead and click OK when you have those settings correct, and then you can go ahead and click Finish, and then just go ahead and send and receive an email and make sure everything's working correctly. If you do have questions or problems setting up your email and this isn't working for you, please feel free to contact our support team by sending an email to support@turnthepagemktg.com. Thanks for your time today, and good luck with your email.